Hello, Habbos. Thank you for tuning into SWAT Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Don Black, aka Jimmy321 on Habbo. For those who don't know, you can find this podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcast, and there's also a video version on YouTube, all of which can be found by simply searching Habbo SWAT on the given platform. This is our fifth podcast, and today we have two special guests. We have Habbo United Nations founder and owner, Cyndii. Hello, Cyndii.
Hi. How
And from the NCIS, we have the founder and owner Ty, aka the GenTyAlt on Habbo.
What's up? It's the GenTyAlt.
The GenTyAlt. Thank you all for coming today. We've been trying to get this for a week now, and because of my scheduling and some other stuff, like it gets pushed back. But happy y'all have y'all here. We start out all these podcasts a lot of times when especially I introducing new guests and such, trying to get like going through your history on Habbo, especially like your first couple days and
Oh
and such like
God.
yeah, totally different place nowadays. Like totally different. Like you're going on Habbo and you're seeing all this stuff and you're trying to translate what is this, what is that, what am I supposed to do? Everything. It's kind of a interesting story, everybody usually has. So we're gonna start off with Cyndii. Tell us about your first few days on Habbo.
I joined a very long time ago. I actually joined in 2008, I believe. Oh my God. I was really young actually. I feel old now. Basically, I was the biggest noob. I believe I was like in the 6th grade. And yeah, I used to spend like my pocket money buying, them vouchers for Habbo.
Yep.
Yeah. But I was a bacon, believe it or not. Can you I mean, on Habbo, my hairstyle now on Habbo is like the HC version of a bacon, I think. But yeah, I was a bacon. I was quite a noob, to be honest. So with me, I basically joined Habbo because my classmates were playing it. So after school, we'll just all kind of like meet up on Habbo. So I basically had, friends, in my class who also played Habbo, and I guess it was kind of like easier because I already knew people, but it was just I was just a noob. I remember when like the green HC sofas, they were like the ultimate rare. And having one gold bar meant that you were like filthy rich on Habbo.
What
And yeah.
what were you like? Okay, there's different like communities on Habbo, like different kind of types of people. Like what?
I this is so embarrassing. You're exposing me.
I
Um,
was
I was a part of the adoption/daycare community.
I,
Yeah.
re- I remember those communities back in the day.
Yeah,
Me
I
too.
had my own daycare, and it was like, that room on Habbo where it's like divided into like 5 open places, and
Yeah.
rather than using floors, you would just change the color of the floors and the walls, and that was like, you were cool, okay? Um, my daycare was like filled with pets. It had a bathroom. It actually had two. It was like a girl's bathroom and a boy's bathroom, and I had like a play area with pets, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, before agencies, I didn't actually get into the whole agency thing until 2012, 2013. But when I very first joined Habbo, I had no idea what agencies were. There were like armies and militaries, but they were like really, really small. They were like literally like the smallest rooms on Habbo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was more into like the whole role playing, adoption center, daycare sort of stuff. But keep in mind I was awfully young as well. So yeah.
How'd you first get introduced to the agency community?
Well, I actually left Habbo. I left Habbo in 2000. So you know that stage where you're gonna go to high school and you have that mindset of, oh my god, I'm gonna be in high school, I'm not gonna play Habbo anymore. Well, I was in that mindset. So when I actually went to high school, I left Habbo for a couple of years, and then I came back in 2013, 2012, 2013, something like that. And this was when Habbo agencies were like slowly becoming popular. And I think I actually came back to Habbo. I had no idea what I was doing. Um, I had no one. All of my friends had left Habbo as well, so it was very new. And then I just clicked on a room, and I was looking for jobs. Um, I still owned I still owned my daycare at the time, but I just wanted to like look around. I actually came across Millap CIA, so I ended up joining Millap CIA in 2013, and I started from agent or recruit, I think. Yeah, recruit. So that was interesting, but I was still a bacon, and I was just really newbie, like really newbie. Um, oh my god, just thinking about it makes me cringe, to be honest.
Little bacon Cyndii running around.
Hey, I'll like show you my like norm look and my very first HC look, and yeah, I was like quote unquote emo, I guess. I don't know. My first my first HC look, it was like um I was totally into like the whole colored hair thing and the whole goth phase. I think I was like 16 though. So yeah, that's a little bit of my backstory on how I came across Habbo and agencies and stuff. But yeah, but
So how long did you work for the CIA?
oh, I worked for about 6 months and then I got fired. And I
Fired?
remember that very
Fired?
clearly.
Fired?
Yes, I got fired. The UN found out was once fired from an agency.
Oh wow. We are
Gonna ruin your
exposing
reputation.
this podcast may ruin you, Cyndii.
Yeah, I got fired for false information. Um, I was accused of trashing and double jobbing. That's why I was fired from the CIA. Um,
Were
yeah,
you double jobbing?
no, I wasn't.
That's all the fun stuff though. Okay. Where's your
I was like, I was like the ultimate goody good. Like, what is the definition of a teacher's pet, but within the agency community?
Kiss ass.
Oh, I wouldn't say I was a kiss ass.
Brown noser.
I just obeyed the rules and guidelines, and that sort of stuff was very serious. And it was like, I don't know, everyone just took
Imagine
everything.
that now.
Yeah,
Just
like
getting to know you over like the past year. Like you're the exact opposite now.
I
Like, you don't care any of that stuff now.
Wow.
I know. See, like I went from becoming like I think it's just agencies back then, they were really, really like strict, and like I remember I think some agencies actually still have like these rules, like you can't like hang out in like
The hallways
what's
or
it
something.
called? Like there was like there was a rule back then where you couldn't sit in the middle of the hallway, and you either had to be at a like station or further back. Like there was no, you couldn't just stand around. And I remember, I remember getting in trouble because apparently what I wore on Habbo was inappropriate. Um, and I got told off because my pixel wasn't wearing any shoes.
Fired right there.
And
You're fired.
I remember that was a big deal in a lot of agencies back then.
yeah, it
You
was
had to
it
dress
was like a
professional,
massive thing. It was like a
or like,
massive thing.
or
And
unless you're like super high up in like some agencies, you could kind of dress however you wanted as long as it somewhat like went with the guidelines. But for the most
uh,
part, if you were like high enough in like agencies, you could wear or do whatever you wanted, and like no one would tell you anything. And then it'd be because I remember, I think I think I was in NOPD at the time, and one of the people dressed up like, no shoes, had like shorts on or whatever, and like the old school tank top or whatever and
oh my
stuff.
god,
They were like,
yes.
"Hey, you can't dress like that. You have to
Yeah.
dress professional." With some dude with like no clothes on.
It's honestly really funny on how the whole agency community has changed over time. Because I remember like there was no proper evidence, and I was fired instantly, and
Wow.
it was like, yeah, it was a terrible feeling. Like
Oh yeah.
I was 16, it broke my heart, and I remember crying because I lost my Habbo job. And I was so upset, like, because I didn't understand what I did wrong. And you know how if you have like furniture, if you have furniture in a room and if your room lights get removed, it picks all your furniture.
Yeah.
So like someone had accidentally ejected some floors and I replaced it because back then polished tiles, only the rich had polished tiles.
Yep. Yeah, I
And
remember that.
yeah, and I remember I had like a few and I would place it down because no one else had polished tiles and they were accidentally ejected. So I placed them down and someone removed my badge to room lights and then it picked on and apparently that was me trashing. Um yeah, but it was like thinking about it, it was like it was the end of the world, literally. But
At least
yeah,
back then, trashing wasn't seen as bad as it is now. Like, if you're known as like the trasher now, you're like done with agencies for like the rest of your like Habbo
pixelated
life.
life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Through that.
Yeah, um, definitely. It's just yeah, it's my how I just remember like I think that's why UN was created to begin with, because we wanted to kind of break that whole stigma, and we wanted to like change the traditional ways of Habbo agencies. Um, and that's, I guess, now if you meet me, like, I'm like literally the biggest troll on Habbo. And like, there's no other way to explain it. Like, I'm just, I'm just, I just like to troll, I guess. Um, but yeah, back then I was very by the book, and it was very, I don't know, like the high ranks in agencies were intimidating, and I don't know if it was because of my rank, because I did start as a recruit and I worked my way up. Um, but it's just different. I think Habbo agencies now are a lot more relaxed and chilled, and but I also think it's because a lot of us who have grown within the agency community has also grown up as well. And back then, we didn't know any better, or like we didn't, it was just how it went, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the age of the majority of people on Habbo now are like, you know, either just now like either graduating high school or like about to start their last year of high school or like already like graduated and like are adults now.
Yeah.
I think that's changed a lot of things on Hubbo.
I was
Yeah, definitely.
14 when I started SWAT, and now I'm graduated high school, gone to college, graduated college, out of college, and like a year or two into my job. It's kind of
Yeah,
crazy.
our mindsets and our mentality have like drastically changed.
Yeah.
So I
Oh,
think I think also now we view Habbo as a game, whereas back then a lot of us would have probably taken our Habbo jobs a little bit more seriously because it's a sense of power and it's a sense of
oh yeah.
responsibility.
You
Yeah.
still
Whereas,
have some of those people like leading agencies and stuff, like the people who like take everything super serious and by the book. But then you also have a majority of like the high rankings and like the in charge members of like most agencies. They're like, you know, more relaxed. Uh, if you could say that, like more relaxed with like how things are on Hubbo, and they understand how things are supposed to be, and like it's a game, and like you know, like
yeah,
that
definitely.
kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of this was like before you joined the UN and everything. Let's kind of like transition into like you talked a lot about like some of the levels that you had with like some of the agencies before. And so those would be like some of the
Yeah.
less favorable parts. And obviously,
Um,
what was why like right before we transitioned to you actually like the inspiration for creating, and then like how you transitioned from like, oh yeah, I want to create my own agency.
um,
Before we move into that, like one more thing, like like because you came back, you said into Habbo back in what year?
2013 when I joined agencies
Yeah,
or when I came
2013.
back. Yeah, so after being removed, after being fired from agencies, I just left. I didn't leave Habbo. I guess decided to not come on, and then I came back to Habbo again in 2014 when we were creating UN.
Hmm.
And I say we because I'm I'm not the original founder of UN, but I was I guess I was there since the beginning. So I was just always there.
Okay.
Um so yeah. So what do you want to know?
What for the first like like were you there the first few days or weeks of like the agency starting and everything?
Yeah, yeah,
What were those days like? Like
yeah. So so what um of UN?
yeah, 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 the UN, yeah, because
So because so so the it was we UN took off very strong at the beginning.
mhm,
Um UN because you know how agencies are. Oh my god, there's a new agency
yeah,
recreating, everybody wants to be involved. You know, we were the first we were one of the first agencies that would actually pay
hmm,
because I remember being in agencies, pay was like once a week. It wasn't daily. Pay was like once a week. Some agencies didn't even pay at all. And the pay was like 2, 3 credits, or like a piece of what we classify as junk food now. But it was like so much back then.
yeah,
So having an agency where there's no favoritism, because so basically we brainstormed on how what agencies lacked, and from our experiences from being in a traditional agency, we were kind of like, how can we make ourselves different? So we wanted to build an agency that was built on friendship and fairness, where people actually had to work for their rank rather than people get promoted and people get selected based on whatever. Um, we wanted to minimize the amounts of favoritism that went on, because, as you know, like, I know that it's not as bad now, but there used to be a lot of favoritism, and if you were friends with the higher ranks, you would get promoted more quicker than someone who isn't friends with the higher ranks. So we wanted to minimize, the favoritism that went on. We wanted to purely just focus on creating a community where people weren't judged based on their diversity. So, culturally, based on their sexuality, their beliefs, their religion, whatever. Um, we wanted to change the stereotypes and the tradition of original agencies, basically. And um, the way that we did that was by having our system. And not only that, but in order for you to get a high rank, you'd have to work for it and you'd have to dedicate the hours. So based on how many hours you dedicated and how many, rewards you claimed, you'd get more pay and promotion, rather than us just giving everyone the same amount of pay, or different pays based on different ranks, and giving it a different time. So basically, UN, so the original founders and myself, we are from, the OC side of the world. So it was impossible for us to monitor pay times, where, for the Americans or the Canadians or the English or other countries that weren't close to our time zones. And we wanted to basically just focus on giving everyone the equal opportunity to collect pay, to rank up without even needing us to monitor them.
Mm-hmm.
And basically that's how the first couple of years was, extremely hard, because you know how in agencies there's always like founders,
Yeah.
or like there's multiple people that help with things, whereas with you, when it was, we had the two original founders that created UN, and then we had a team of admins, um and I was a part of the team of admins. And then basically it was just every one of the admins, in order to get a position, a founder's position or whatever, or ownership position or IC position, you'd have to work for it. And you could see it was very, everyone was very egotistical, I guess you can say, where
Yeah.
it was kind of like, it was very hard to work as a team environment with people where they're not willing to work in a team environment to strive.
Yeah.
So it was very messy. Like, when we first opened, it wasn't very structured. We we were, we were a bunch of trolls. And back then in 2013 and 2014, it was fun to trash. And it was funny. And I remember, UN used to get trashed like every week. Like, for the first year that we opened, we just kept getting trashed every other week, every other month. It was crazy. Um, and like, we had people in UN that were trashing other agencies, and it was like, it was actually socially accepted to trash other agencies that you deemed as competition.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it was kind of seen like if you weren't trashed, you weren't like good enough to be trashed. Like you weren't a good enough agency. That
yeah,
makes
and it
sense.
was kind of like, it was. Don't get me wrong, it was funny, like it was fun, but I think it was, we were also kids at that time as well.
Yeah.
Um, and then, yeah, so basically, as time went on, it like basically with me being UN, the first couple of years it was extremely difficult because it came to a stage where people who you were supposed to trust turned on you. Like, so basically, we had like 8 admins, and out of the 8 admins, literally 2 people stayed. Like, 2 people stayed and didn't trash or didn't, like they didn't trash badges or the base, or they didn't do something, or they didn't like, it was just they didn't do you dirty.
Yeah.
And it was just, yeah. And then, but the thing was, it was also very it was very like just how do I say this? I had it was I was being judged based on my gender as well. This is a really big thing that I noticed was with the agency community. It's a lot of them are male dominated. And so if you were a female running an agency, um, you were looked down upon, or that kind of people just kind of don't take you seriously, or they'd laugh at you, or they'd just shrug their shoulders and they kind of like men do it better kind of thing. So I remember getting a lot of hate, and a lot of bigger agencies back then, they wouldn't take UN seriously because we were female dominated. Because what happened was with our promotion system, it was majority the people that were ranking up higher were females, and they were getting the IC ranks first and faster because they dedicated their time to it. We didn't, the pay rate is the exact same for all members. The promotion rates are the same for all members. It honestly just depends on you, the person, to put in the work. And
That's how it should be.
yeah, so basically, I didn't like with my current foundation team right now, I did not get to choose any of them. They all worked for the position, and then once they worked for the position, um, like I can't really argue unless you have a history of like bullying or trashing or doing something that makes me not trust you. I can't turn you away.
Working for something actually makes you appreciate what you have a lot more.
Yeah, it does because like so it honestly does because the people in UN, so you can actually buy your rank if you want to contribute, like money,
Yeah.
you can buy rank.
You're bringing value to
People,
your community whenever you buy
yeah,
it, right?
people who purchase their ranks actually don't last as long as people who have worked for their positions, like dedicated their hours into it. And I think it makes you just appreciate it more, I think.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, basically, a lot of like, so UN, so I've been in UN since 2014, and from 2014 to 2020, we did not have alliances. Um, we didn't have any alliances, no partnerships, no treaties, nothing, because um, I think it was like the whole concept of having like alliances back then. It was very cliquey, and it was kind of like you can't sit with us if you don't have a treaty or an alliance. And
Yeah.
we wanted to treat every other agent, like we want to treat every agency as an equal.
Yeah.
And we wanted to be friends with every agency and not use what other people think or say against them. So basically it was very interesting to kind of just put our community first, and develop our own opinions rather than just follow the crowd. But it was very UN. UN didn't like a lot of agencies didn't take UN seriously because of how it was just so dominated by females. And it wasn't actually until this year. It wasn't actually until this year where we started having more male leadership figures in our community, and it was just we're pretty diverse now, but for the longest time UN was heavily female dominated. But we were unappreciated, like we were like, I guess, undermined and underappreciated and undervalued because of our gender. And it's just something that we were like, we had male leadership roles, but it was just because, like, it was just majority of us were females. But um but I think that kind of changed when other agencies started having more female role models as well, and more female um leaderships. But I remember at the beginning, I used to have a lot of trolls, and a lot of agencies would just they'd make their little snarky comments and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and it didn't feel good. It of course it doesn't feel good, but you can either let that sort of stuff get to you, or you just continue. So for the longest time, I did, just bite my tongue and just focus purely on the growth of UN and the UN community, to stick to our, rules and guidelines, our morals, our policies, because, like, UN UN does a lot of things differently compared to a lot of agencies. For example, we don't have a
Yeah.
national punishment, and we don't have ban on site lists or national punishments, and we don't have them court cases and stuff like that. We deal things such as double jobbing, um, people who are mafia affiliated differently. We try to give people the benefit of the doubt and try to give people, a chance to change or reflect on their mistakes. Um, and yeah, I think because when UN was established, that we were so different and we were just doing things differently and not within the norm, that a lot of people were just people don't like what they don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Um,
definitely clear like why you guys were so successful and everything. I mean,
oh,
a lot of things from your story there. Like one of the first things that like kind of like brought to me was the fact that you guys like got together. Was like, what is like the agency community like missing, and all
yeah,
that. That's actually an attitude, and like a lot of the successful businesses in real life will actually like look at that. Okay, we have this space that we're thinking about going in. Where's this space missing? We want to bring. Where can we bring value? This space
yeah,
and this
yeah,
industry, right? And they literally have things like that. Okay, there's this. They're missing this or missing that. We can bring value here. We can provide something that is just not there, and that's what you guys did. And it's incredible that you guys were able to accomplish what you were. And it's not surprising, but like that's such a good story. You guys should definitely like wear that with a badge of honor. That's crazy story and really great.
oh,
And
thanks.
yeah, definitely privileged in a lot of ways with SWAT, with some of the stuff that we didn't have to go through, but like a lot of the stuff that you guys went through, that's just crazy. And I'm glad that you guys persevered through a lot of things and are still here, because you guys definitely bring lots of value to the agency community, and just breath of fresh air from some of the just like everybody doing the
Yeah,
same thing.
yeah. I
Ah,
mean, it's nice. It's nice to be
yeah,
different, Um, and yeah, but now 2020 UN has been open to working with other agencies, supporting other agencies. And I think that it's really important that we all have to remember that by the end of the day, like, Habbo is just a game, and but the thing is, even though Habbo is a game, there's real people involved. And it's just, we're basically all on this game for very similar reasons, and we all built like our own communities for similar reasons. And I think that it's important, like people forget that by the end of the day, we should be supporting each other. And
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if you guys are from different agencies or different communities. By the end of the day, we're still all Habbo players. And it's rather than us, rather than an agency kind of stick to their own, if you branch out and you have different organizations and different agencies, you become stronger as one.
yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
So I think it's honestly been really different. And UN has just recently started, recognized partnerships, but we have been, reaching out to other agencies and supporting, other agencies and trying to build relations and, build friendships because, it's, you don't want to, it's kind of like feeding, how do I say this? It's like if you if you water a positive plant, then more positive grows from it. Whereas if you keep watering negative plants, then more negativity will grow from that, right?
Definitely, definitely. So
Yeah.
you you stuck in there and everything, right? And that's an incredible accomplishment and just sticking in everything as in and of itself. But like, I'm interested, and I'm sure a lot of people are interested. Like, what kept you like motivated? Like, what's the one part of
Um,
like the agency community or the whole entire part of the UN kind of community, the idea behind having the UN, the agency structure? Like, what like kept you going, and like what do you enjoy so much that keeps you going, basically?
well, to be honest, it's I believe that what kept me going to keep me motivated was the people within the agency itself. Um, and and I think a lot of people forget this, but people dedicate so much time and they invest so much time towards a community. And yes, um, it's a game and people come and go, but I feel like, it's when a community is based around friendships and trust and community, it's so much more, it adds so much more value than just, oh, I'm in this community because of the money or because I get paid 50 credits a day.
Yeah,
Um, but I do think that, so the thing is with agencies is people may, be interested, but you can say to someone, hey, if you join my agency, I'll pay you 4 credits a day. They might be interested. But if you treat people like shit, then they're not going to want to work for you.
yeah,
Um, and I think that it's making people stay because they feel respected and appreciated and they feel heard and listened to. And I think that's what makes every community kind of grow from that because what UN was in 2014, it's not what it is now. Like
yeah,
every agency changes and there's no point going back in time. Society is constantly changing and you have to be constantly be open to change even if you don't necessarily like it. It's just something that you have to do. And I have lost count how many friends I've met over the years online. um there's been people where I've met in person. There's been people where I've shared, my journey as a human being and as UN founder, um, throughout the years. And it's you, you know, like it's so it's so much more than just a game sometimes. And I find that it's just a community sense to it, I think. And the thing with growth is I think my motivation is the people. Like if I like because running an agency successfully, does not take one person. It takes a lot of
Yes,
people,
definitely.
a lot of people. It's too much. Like, and I guess as founder, I appreciate and I trust and I purely love and have love for the people that are in my community. And I think it's just um, if it wasn't uh, if it wasn't for the people and how lovely they are, I don't think I'd be on this game.
Wow.
Like because I did, like we're all adults now, and we just have, like if it was just a game, I think a lot of people would have left already or like not have bothered to come back. But I think we come back for the people.
Definitely. That's very well said. Very well said.
100%.
Yeah. That's the only way I can really put it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how everyone puts up with my shit though, because I'm really annoying. But yeah.
Okay. Well, we do need a transition over here to Ty.
Sorry, Tom, taking a spotlight.
No, that's
Taking
fine.
up my time to talk.
Sorry, I talk a lot. I need to stop.
No, that was a very good story, and I think a lot of people. I'm actually kind of excited, like, because I know we have like there's I think we have like 100, 200 listeners that listen through all the different platforms, and
Woohoo!
so like I know that somebody's gonna hear like your story, and
Yeah,
it's
someone's definitely gonna get inspired
definitely
by
gonna
that.
inspire a lot of people, and that's
So
what that's what I'm excited about. I'm like excited, like, hey, we get to bring value to the
Well,
Habbo community because people outside of the agency community actually listen to these podcasts, and so that's gonna be incredible for
gonna make a
them.
tweet. They're gonna be like, "Did you know that the UN founder was fired?"
They're gonna go through the whole entire podcast, and that's what they're gonna come across. The UN founder was fired back in the day.
they're gonna listen to the first 15 minutes and be like, "Oh my god, UN founder fired," and then they're not gonna listen to like anything else you've said.
Yeah, they're
gonna
just
hear,
gonna zone
"Oh,
out. Like they're just so
she trashed and double jobbed and got fired, and
wow.
now she runs an agency."
Oh my god.
This is the agency community. Oh my goodness.
A
Okay.
bacon owns an agency? What?
You do need to send that in this DM so then I can put it on the video version. So I'll put the picture of
Yeah,
her. Yeah. Okay. Ty.
what's
We
up?
haven't talked too much, not as much as I've talked with Cyndii, but
Oh yeah.
let's at least run through the first few days on Habbo. Do you even
So
like
I do remember because it was so my first few days of Hubbo, it was a joint account with my brother. My twin brother, who it's funny enough, he works at UN. Uh
move?
yeah,
It's time for Johnny.
uh
Oh
I,
my god.
no, but yeah, I started out on Hubbo back in 2011 on an account called Astro Renee. And it was back when like you couldn't change your name once you've like registered. So it was with my mom's email account.
Yeah.
So that's why it was called Asher Renee, because it was just like popped up from whatever email I used. Uh, but yeah, I mean, like Cyndii, I only joined because I saw an ad on it for on like cool math games or something. Like me and my brother found an ad and we're like, that looks cool. Let's try it out. And we joined. He actually joined first, and I was like, "What is this game?" And I would just watch him play for a little bit, like, "Oh, that looks cool." And then we would switch off, and I would play for a while,
Okay.
and that lasted for maybe a couple weeks, where we shared an account, and then we were like, "All right, well, let's get our own accounts, so we don't have to like, oh hey, I'm Ty, or oh hey, you're talking to Zach now." Like
Yeah.
it got real confusing.
What were you guys doing those early days?
Um, we joined a mill just because it said free coins. We're like, I don't know what coins are, but this looks fun. Let's try it out. And it was actually called Marines 101st Division. It was like one of the basic like it wasn't like super fancy like how like some of the early mills were like
Mhm.
showing off a lot of stuff. It was like it had like the basic closet teleporter or whatever. Um, it was right around the time where they started introducing badge ferning and stuff.
Yeah.
But you could still only have one badge,
Mm.
so it wasn't much help. Um, so we still had the one dude standing at the door, like the door to the base, and be like, "Okay, you can come in. You can't come in."
Mm.
And
I remember
so on and
those.
so forth. And but we did have like a group gate for some reason. I don't remember what it was for, but it was like in front of a teleporter that led to like some random room that the owner had.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, I had a lot of fun in that little mill thing, and it lasted a couple days, or not a couple, like maybe a week or two before the owner was like, "Hey," because he was actually active military at the time. He's like, "Hey, I'm getting deployed, so I'm gonna have to shut this place down." And that really bummed us all out. But there was two guys who were like, "You know what? We'll start up our own mill and we'll do stuff with that." So I joined that one, and I ended up getting my own account, which was BR General Tie,
Mm.
because the the mill was like the Royal British Military or something like that, or Royal British Army, something like that. So I just went BR sounds all right, or it was like BR something. It was like British Royal Military or something like that.
Yeah.
So I made my, and like I was the guy was like, you can be a general, because like we were all like, he was actually older than us,
Mhm.
uh, and we ended up like getting like real close, like, and I still talk to him sometimes on like Facebook and stuff. But like we ended up getting real close, and he's like, "You can be a general." I'm like, "Sweet," and I just made my name BR General Ty, and it just stuck. And
Hmm.
then
So
now my name is
that's where the Gen comes from in your Habbo name?
yeah,
The Gen
yeah,
tie?
yeah, and it was an alt account at the time, so I just put alt in it. And because that account actually got hacked by a mafia group when I was in NCIS, and so they took all my stuff, like all my Fernie and stuff, and I ended up making another account called the General Tie, and I guess I got muted or banned for some reason at one point, not permed, but and then I made the TheGenTyAlt, and then I guess I just forgot the login information for that when I came back, and like what was it? I came back around 1 year ago. I came back to Hubbo, and I just started out with the Gentile, and that's what my main account's been ever since.
Nice, nice. So, at what point did you transition from armies to agencies?
Um, I think it was right after that one failed, and I went to the original USDF, where it was the two different mill rooms, like the Navy and the Army had their own bases.
Yeah.
And it was right after that I was like, I'm tired of all this stuff. It's too strict, and like I don't want to, and it takes too long to get promoted. So I was like, I'm done with this. So I went to my first agency was actually NOPD, owned by KPEC One, and I started there as a recruit. I got trained, and then I started making my way up the ranks. And after a while, I was like, man, this is taking too long. So I started self-promoting. And it was back in the day with like forums and stuff. So like no one logged promotions. They just checked who promoted you. And I would always just keep the same promo tag.
Did you get caught?
Oh no.
You got away with it.
Someone was like, "Did you self-promote?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Oh, okay." Like, "Who promoted you?" I was like, "Oh, it was, I remember one of the founders, at the time was Fish Boy." I was like, "Oh, it was Fish Boy." And, like, he was always, like, AFK or, like, not around at the same time I was online, or, like, he'd come on at the very end of the night when I was about to go to sleep. So, they
Oh
were
my
like,
god.
"Okay, makes sense." And then they left me alone. And then I remember my first time getting a gold bar back in 2012. Cap was selling room rights for 50 coins. And I was like, "Oh, I'll buy room rights." So I bought room rights, and he's like, "You know what? Because you bought room rights, I'm gonna bump you up a whole nother division." So with me buying something, I got promoted like what, like maybe 5, 6 ranks, and I didn't even like at the time it was like Cap was NOPD was still small enough where that was allowed, and like no one like really cared enough for it, but it was still probably one of the faster growing agencies at the time since it started in 2012, and I came around the time where it started is when I joined, like maybe a month or 2 after, because when I joined, there weren't a lot of people like in the agency yet.
Yeah.
But so I ended up getting all the way up to the rank of uh like sheriff, which was the highest rank before foundation at the time. And I was the right hand man of a guy named Demon X Teddy, or like his real name was Neil. And he was like, "You know what? I'm tired of NOPD. It's kind of toxic." And being that high up, both of us started seeing the toxicity that was in NOPD and how things were handled too. And it wasn't the right fit for both of us. So we transferred to NCIS at the time, owned by ATV Man 102.
Mhm.
And that was like shooting Cap's parents to him. Like
Oh
is how
boy.
he took it because he hated us. He hated us with a burning passion. And he spent not all his resources, but he spent a majority of his time sending trolls to our base in NCIS, trolling us, trying to get us to. He even came to me. I think he came to. I'm pretty sure he came to me at one point. And was like, "Hey, I'll pay you 200 coins to trash NCIS." I was like, "No, thanks," because at that point I already knew how toxic he was because he was still like coming in and like he would come in himself, mess with us, and then leave, and
Why didn't
then
you just take the
come in again the next
coins?
day. Because I was like 13 and I wasn't
Why
thinking.
is it run?
Oh, because in my mind,
200 crits?
He was a
he wouldn't pay
good
me up
person,
front.
okay?
He wouldn't pay me up front.
Back then, okay?
In my mind, Cap wasn't gonna pay me
Yeah.
like at all. So I was like, why would I do that just so he could not pay me?
Yeah, scam you. Yeah. That makes
So
sense.
I didn't even bother with it. And then out of spite, my brother worked at NOPD. My twin brother, and his username was Sergeant Ben at the time,
Yeah.
or is still. Um, and Cap promoted him out of spite to Foundation. Was like, "You could have had this if you stayed, but now it's going to your brother." I'm like, "Okay." Like,
Oh my
Huh.
that's
god.
fine. Because
That sounds
me and my brother already talked. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna see how this goes for a little bit, and then I'm gonna come to NCIS. So, like, I already knew he was coming to NCIS, so it
Yeah.
didn't bother me at all. And while I was at NCIS, I, uh, I became really good friends with ATV Man, 102, which his account now is Picard with an exclamation point.
Mm.
He's
Yes.
actually a foundation rep and the director of our external affairs team at NCIS.
Nice.
And, like, I've known him now for, like, 8 years.
Too long, too long.
Uh, I see him as, like, another brother to me. Like, that's how, like, close we are. And, like, I go to him if I have, you know, real not really real life problems, but, like, if I need advice, or, like, because he's owned NCIS for, probably, like, 6 years before he ended up leaving Hubbo himself and then coming back. Um, but, like, my favorite thing about NCIS was, like, we were all super loyal to Anoop or ATV Man, and,
Yeah.
like, we would we all meshed very well. Um, we all ha he got me into, like, online gaming. Like, we would jump in, like, S Skype calls and play, like, Neverwinter online and stuff, and, like,
Hmm.
Oh my God, Skype
uh,
calls.
we would, like, we had Facebook groups for the NCIS, like higher ups and stuff, and that's where we would talk because it was before like Discord or anything. So like we didn't have like anything else besides like Facebook at the time. Or I guess there was Kick, but like we had like two or three older dudes with us and they didn't know what Kick was. But like me and Anoop are around the same age, so like we uh we like we kind of connected on that level
Yeah.
because we were, you know, going through the same thing, because we were both like in middle school at the time and like then transitioning into high school, which I kind of got into that, what Cyndii was saying was like, oh, I'm going into high school. Why would I play this game anymore? So in 2013, NCIS was kind of dying at the time. And so I was like, I'm gonna give like a month break from Hubbo and then come back and see if I still like this. So I left and I came back and then I was like, you know what? And Hubbo's all right. So I joined an agency called NBI, which was owned by one of the higher ranking members that were in NCIS named Ben Tyne. Uh I messed around in that agency for a little bit and then NCIS came back, still owned by Demon X Teddy this time. And I was like, "Oh, I'll go here and you know, chill out with them, probably not do much cuz I don't really think there's much for me to do anymore agency-wise." But then I joined and I was like, I'm really getting back into the swing of things. I got hands into a lot of things. I built up, helped build the ranks. Uh I made my own rank, which was kind of cringy at the time. Because he was like, just make anything up that sounds good. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, huh, I don't know what to make my rank. And then someone said solicitor. Like, I don't know what that means, but it sounds cool. So I made my rank like solicitor general or something like that. So I don't even know I still barely know what solicitor means. But uh I did that and then that's when I started feeling like NCIS wasn't good underneath Demon X Teddy because he'd get a new like hubbo girlfriend like every month or so,
Yeah.
and she would be bumped straight up to one IC or IC. And I was like, damn, he's a major he's a major simp. Like, and that was before simp was actually a thing, you know?
It wasn't even a
That
word, and then yeah.
was
It's
just
very
like,
sad, it's very sad, and as, like, leader in our position, we should definitely all strive to, like, try to get rid of all of that as we can
yeah,
be
I tried to, especially with my agency, I try to, like, you know, I keep in mind who's been around the longest, like, especially with my foundation team. Like, we've had some foundation members, come and go, but for the most part, I look at, activity, I look at what have they done for the agency, if they're gonna continue to do it if they get this rank, or, if they get this rank, they're gonna start slacking off, or, like, if they or if they've, like, done anything to harm them, like harm anyone in the agency, or like, harm the agency's reputation in general. And it's a lot of things you have to think about when, especially when you're promoting someone so high, and like, in agencies and stuff, because it's pretty cutthroat once you get high up, you know?
yeah,
Like a lot, especially like not even in your own agency, but like agencies in general. Like a lot of higher ups and agencies have that big ego, or like they think, oh, I'm one I see in this agency, so I need I'm s- I have to be respected in every agency.
yeah,
So that they'll go to other agencies and stuff, and uh they'll be like, who do you think you're talking to? I'm so and so uh at whatever agency. And we've recently had that happen at NCIS, and I won't name names or anything,
yeah,
Don't attack
because
me. Oh my god. Do you know who I am?
well, that's kind of how it is, because we have a rule where only our in charge members can use color chat,
Yeah.
and we have specific color chats for them so we can distinguish them between other ranks and stuff. And someone high up from another agency came in, and we were gracious enough to, let them in the base. Like we have a kind of like how UN has it. We have the 7-Eleven Slurpees set up to like bop people in and out of base and stuff if they're like idle, or like if they're somewhere they're not supposed to be or whatever. We have it set up so we bop that dude inside base, and I said, like, "Hey, can you please turn off your color chat?" And he's like, "Who do you think you're talking to? You're not even a founder."
yeah,
I'm like, "Excuse me?" Like, look at all the furniture in this room. Who owns it? And that's kind of like like I don't like doing that kind of thing, but like with that amount of disrespect that he just threw at me in front of his like his own agency was in the room as well. So that gave
I
them that kind of gave them the okay to be like, "Oh, we can do the same thing to this dude."
yeah,
Or
I think it's because a lot of people. I know it's no excuse, but a lot of people don't feel this sense of, empowerment or this title or responsibility in the real world. So it's kind of like when they have a power trip, kind of when they like feel it on Habbo, and it's just really
or they have it in the real life and they want to transition it to everything else they do.
yeah. But I think it just ruins the fun. I mean, like it's a game, chill.
Yeah, that's also got to be one of my biggest pet peeves with like agencies, the agency community in general, is like a lot of people with big egos that like almost demand that you say yes sir, yes ma'am to them, even though
Yeah. I
you're at
mean,
no you have
yeah,
no like, reason to give them respect, or like I try to treat everyone with respect no matter what,
yeah. Like
but
respect is earned, and
oh
to
yeah,
be honest,
I try to treat people how I want others to treat me,
yeah, of
like
course.
I want them to be like, oh, this guy's a good dude, so
yeah,
I'll be nice, and that also helps out with a lot of things in like in your agency and stuff, because whenever someone comes and they see you acting, mature and like respectful to even the people who are low ranks and stuff, like, oh, so that's how things go here. I like this place, and it encourages people to like, if they're new to Habbo, it encourages them to join, or like if they're looking to transfer somewhere, they're like, "Oh, I wonder if he's gonna treat me like if he treats them like that, I bet that's how he's gonna treat me." And it gives people incentive, to like join in and like, 'cause that's what myself and the other owner, Forever Yours, that's how what we strive to make with NCIS is like a very open, uh like close family knit community kind of. Like we treat everyone as if, you're a family member and stuff. So like especially when like if you especially when like someone retires, like we just had one of our founders retire recently, and it was very not, I wouldn't say disappointing, but it was very saddening to see that he would retire, and it just it just brought the mood down a little bit. But you always got to keep up the, not not the facade, but like
The
the good
morale.
energy and stuff. Yeah, the morale, and like boost everyone up a little bit.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the reality of it is we can't all be on Habbo for the rest of our lives. Um, Unfortunately, and
What do
we
you mean?
can't.
We'll be
Um.
on Habbo forever.
Oh my god.
Habbo for life.
For life.
um. Oh my god. But I think it's just we're you know people come and go, and people have
Yeah,
other life commitments and
it,
stuff,
it
and
may it may be sad at the time, but you also want to give them a good like show them like, hey, just because you're gone, we're not gonna
yeah,
like
be petty about
it's not
it.
gonna ruin everything. You're gonna be. He didn't like transfer out or anything. He
Yeah.
he retired, because he had like a lot of stuff happening in real life and stuff, and he
Yeah.
he couldn't allocate the amount of time he needed to be online and stuff, and he made the mature decision to step down rather than like how I've seen in a lot of places, they just keep their title and not actually come online and stuff.
when
Yeah.
when you're in a position of like in the administration of like an agency, there's that value that you're in that position because with like a lot of times we see the value you work for it, the UN's place.
Oh yeah.
You bring we've shown in the past that you want to bring value to the community, right? Your agency, and so the powers that be would put you in that position so they could have a bigger, uh, an easier opportunity to bring that value, right? But
Oh
once
yeah.
you have so much stuff going on in real life, you're not able to bring that value as much as you used to, and like it's it's a sad thing, but like, and it's a hard thing, but like, it sometimes it is best that you
This.
step down, right? So then somebody could take your place and provide that benefit, that value to the community that you're not able to.
Oh yeah.
But
And
yeah,
that was really, and then like one of the bigger inspirations, because that's what happened when I came back to Hubbo in 2019, around this time. Uh I joined NOPD, and I started out as an agent again, and then Cap remembered me and was like, "You know what? I'm gonna just bump you up to another rank." He bumped me up to one of the elective ranks, and I worked my way up to 1 IC, and uh from like the lowest elective rank to 1 IC in the foundation team. And by the end of it, I was seeing a lot of members in the elective ranks and in foundation just not pulling their own weight. And that's what really brought me, because they saw that the owner of the agency, Cap, or his new username, Karl Marx 101, uh he wasn't pulling his own weight. He didn't do anything in the agency. It was really, you know, the few foundation members that were actually doing anything. And that's what drove me to, when Cap said he was quitting Hubbo, to be like, you know what? Instead of continuing NOPD, me and two other foundation members at the time from NOPD, Forever Yours and JKN 270, we decided, you know what? We'll start our own agency, start from the ground up, and we'll see where that takes us because with this, we'll have a whole new, reputation because NLPT's reputation by the end of it was not
Yeah.
good at all.
Yeah,
And that was
definitely.
because of the few decisions that Karl Marx or Cap decided to make. It was like, yeah, let's go poach here or poach, or he didn't call it poaching, he called it headhunting.
Yeah.
And that was his terminology for it because it wasn't in his mind it wasn't technically poaching, but it was going to other agencies and picking out people who look like they're doing like a good job there, and then offering them a better place to, a quote unquote better place to work.
Yeah.
Um, which at the time he wasn't making a better place to work. He was making it a lot harder for everyone in the foundation team because by that time I had reached he had basically pushed out one of the other owners, Dwight OB or Luke. He had basically pushed him out of the agency because I mean Cap wasn't doing anything, and Luke was actually helping out here and there, but he couldn't help out, everywhere at the same time. And that's why there were two owners, is so
Yeah.
they could split the duties of owning it. And so and then he also pushed out my brother who was a member at the time, and um Lovely's or Kim, who's now at CIA.
Yeah.
And they were very my brother's kind of like me. We're more background characters, like we're more in the back,
Yeah.
setting things up, doing things that, you know, we don't need recognition for. But if we get it, it's cool. But we do it because it needs to happen.
Yeah.
And that and Cap didn't realize that. And when he pushed my brother out, uh, it was kind of like, hey, fuck you, And it
Yeah.
was very cutthroat at that time too because there were two people gunning for his position because he was one IC at the time.
Yeah.
And then those two people ended up leaving and starting their own agency. And that didn't work out for them because it's not open anymore. It was very a lot of cutthroat like mentality and NOPD.
Yeah.
And that's what we strive to make NCIS, that family vibe,
Yeah.
and that was the inspiration, give us a fresh start, get us away from the NOPD name, which unfortunately followed us. And we ended up having to let go one of our owners, JKN 270, because he kept that same mentality from NOPD of like being cutthroat and like uh you know trying to get people to leave that he didn't like, or like, and that pushed away a lot of our members at the time. And
Yeah.
we decided that for to better our community, it would and like bring everyone back together. And it did bring a lot of people back together because a lot of our members that had left had come back. We aren't NOPD,
Yeah.
and we're not the same people. Like we may have some of the foundation from NOPD, but it's only the good parts of that foundation.
Yeah. Definitely.
And it's not the members that were uh gunning to uh endorse poaching or endorse illegal warfare and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and it was a lot of, and we've been fortunate enough to find more members and more people with like-mindedness, to join the agency and like help us, bring about, you know promoting that whole family, like our community is more of a family than, just people you meet online.
Yeah.
Because we're very, very uplifting of each other. We're very uh you know, we share ideas. We don't ever shoot something down. We don't ever be like, if there's something that someone suggests, we talk it out and see if it's the best plan for the agency. And you always get those requests that don't make sense at the time, but in the long haul or whatever, you see that, like, oh, if we had done that, it would have gone this way, or if we'd done it, we would have went, you know,
Yeah.
we wouldn't have gone down this path that we are now. And a lot of things, especially in like the last, we've only been open for about 5 months now,
Mhm.
and we've had steady growth. Our growth has picked up a lot in the last month or so, and we just recently reached 500 members. So
Yeah, I
that,
saw that. Me and one of my founders actually came by a couple days ago. It was not today. It was just like Friday night for us here in the United States. Me and Dom came by and we came in and talked to one of you guys' EA representatives, and we saw that
oh
you
yeah, it was King Greeny.
yeah, King Greeny, yeah.
Yeah, because he had just that was his trial EA task or whatever, to like, talk with y'all about, just see how y'all are doing and stuff.
Yeah.
And he was just, passed his trial, and
Awesome.
that's very exciting because he's a good guy, and
Yeah, he
he
was.
knows what he's doing and stuff.
We do need a
Um,
transition here. I did want to go into like your story. I think I'm gonna have you on like in a later episode, sometime in January. I'm hoping. I'm thinking right now, at least in January, you can go into like the real beginning of like the NCIS and everything. You went to a little bit here, but um,
oh, no worries.
yeah, I think we're gonna transition. We only have like really 5-10 minutes here, or that I would like to at least. Um, but some comments maybe we can spend like 5 minutes on like the initial thoughts of like some of the going ons with the Habbo 2020 update and your thoughts and like maybe like plans for adopting some changes that you're gonna have to do and whatnot, and
Mm.
the future of AC community in the new Habbo that they're trying to uh, give us.
I think Hubbo needs to really listen to the community, because they don't I don't think they understand how big the agency and like the fan site and the trading community is to Hubbo. Um, with the whole no one-to-one trading for the first 6 months.
Yeah,
And even with the donations thing that you can do that they just announced, um, you can only donate up to 10 coins at a time. So you'd have to, continually, like, I give a lot of my pay team coins every so often when they need it.
yeah,
And I give them about 100 to 150 coins at each time. And so trading 10 coins at a time is, going to be a huge hassle, especially if you have to do it like 15 times, and you don't know if there's like a certain amount of times you can do it yet, or
yeah. And there's that
uh
tax too. It's pretty
oh yeah, and there's like a
1 cent
what is like
per.
a one coin tax for
Oh
everything or
my
whatever.
god.
You do the math, that can add up to. We did the math over at Squad, and it could add up to almost 500 coins in taxes a week.
Oh,
Honestly, I think all of us are gonna go baroque. Not gonna lie, from the taxes.
Yeah,
Like, no, like they're taking like so much money. They're taking 10% of anything. Like, so even if you like sell stuff on marketplace,
yep,
it's a lot of money.
yeah,
I think the tax now, I mean, I think it's about 1% is the tax now on the marketplace. And even then, some people are like, when you do trades and stuff, especially for like limited edition rares and stuff like that I've done, sometimes you have someone paying that tax for you. So you're still paying the full, like, let's say you're buying um like the rose the pink dragon or whatever, and you
Yeah,
pay like uh what is it, like 200 or 400 gold bars or whatever for it,
yeah,
is how much I guess it's going for. Or like 300 or whatever gold bars. You're still you're paying only that amount of a much, because I mean, even in like a one-to-one trading, it's a lot harder to buy those gold bars and stuff, and you have the even before the 10% tax on all the credit for any, it was uh it was still a lot of money to, you know, go through uh the marketplace and stuff. And I can understand the 10% tax, with like people who sell gold bars and stuff, and like the unpure gold bars and stuff, and like, through like Bitcoin or PayPal or whatever. And
yeah.
like,
They're trying to get rid of all that, but
yeah,
it's like
yeah. I,
they're
I
punishing the whole community for the actions of like one
a
percent.
few of like maybe like 5% of the entire in like
Yeah,
the entirety of Hubbo.
and that's like saying something. That's like actually giving that community a lot, like 5%. Wow. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. I know that yeah, like I said, it's going to cost like 500 coins a week, like on taxes if we're trying to run the way we are.
Yeah, I think it's, even with taxes now, it's still, I mean, it's
Yeah,
still a lot more than we've been spending recently.
yeah. I think we're gonna end the podcast there. It's been great. Thank you all for coming. And staying with this. I think we're at an hour and 30 minutes. That's just crazy. It's the longest
Oh my
podcast.
god.
Which is fine because you guys, I think this is gonna give like a lot of people the insight, like to actually see like why so many people are still sticking with the agency community. And I think that's gonna be a cool thing for a lot of people, and especially like Cyndii's story and everything. That's gonna be a real inspiration to a lot of people, and I'm pretty happy about that. This could be one of the more impactful podcasts. This is the first time we really had like a full blown like just non SWAT podcast, and I think it'll be cool for everybody to see. And hopefully we can get this out tomorrow night or something like that. But yeah, thank you all for coming and
Well, thank you so
taking
much
the
for having us.
taking the time. I really do appreciate it. Cyndii,
But
Ty.
yeah, we should do this more often.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. I think I'm definitely gonna try to get Ty back on in here come January, so you can kind of finish up his story with the NCIS and how everything's over there.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely give him that time would be awesome.
And
Um,
a lot of things happen in a very short amount of time.
yes, yes, it is kind of crazy, and it's been a long time since I've had to deal with a lot of stuff. Like that's why I had a little bit of a reopening this year, so there was a lot of those newer kind of things that you have like a newer agency. But
Oh
um,
yeah.
thank you all for coming. Till
Oh, thank you.
Thank
next
you.
time.